What's happening, one and all? Uh, Welcome to the fourth 15 years later video. I'm going to do the fifth one also after this one. It's going to be the last set of videos I do before I move out. It's pretty good timing that I'm doing these because I'm doing these kind of videos in the wake of Robin Williams killing himself. And I guess Robin Williams killing himself kind of proves that, you know, you could be like depression and suicidal thoughts and stuff like that affects everybody, regardless of how much money you have, regardless of everything like that, of how famous you are. That they don't. It doesn't matter. It knows no discrimination. Especially if you've been traumatized, especially if you've had a really shitty past. You know what I mean? Like I could have millions of dollars tomorrow and I'd still be struggling with feelings of inferiority. You know what I mean? And what I want to do in this video is I really want to try and help anyone out there who feels like Robin Williams felt before he died, or even his whole life, because Robin Williams, he had a past of alcoholism, and being a former, I don't want to say alcoholic because I really kind of wasn't, but being a person who did have kind of a drinking problem in the past, you have to find a way out, or else it's going to consume you. Bad habits turn into bad addictions, which then turn into very bad lifestyles. And the more self-aware you are of this, and the more self-accountable you can hold yourself, the better off you're going to be. I've dealt with a lot of bullshit in my life, from as early as 8, up until even when I was a grown-ass man at 25. It seemed like everywhere I turned, up until probably I was approaching 30. If I didn't have a death in the family, then I would have like really shitty friends who were trying to bring me down with their bullshit. Not intentionally, obviously, but just happened to be that way. If I didn't have someone picking on me, then I would have some psycho try to have sex with me when I didn't want to have sex with them. You know what I mean? Like, it's just been nothing but bullshit. Similar to my friend Daniel Bryan over here, whose shirt I'm wearing. You know what I mean? Like, look what happened to him ever since he got injured. You know, or ever since he got injured. He got injured, so he got the title removed, and then like his injury got worse because he stopped a burglar trying to rob him. You know what I mean? Like, all these horrible things have happened to him, but he has faith that, and then his dad died. You know what I mean? Like, and so just like Lemony Snicket, it's a series of unfortunate events. And that's kind of what I want to cover. I want to give a timeline, and I want to give my opinion on what trauma and depression really are. Let me go ahead and define those two terms first. I think trauma is anything that can happen to you that really just takes the wind out of your sails, to where you say to yourself, whoa, it was where you're like really like feel inferior because of what happened to you. This can be something as innocent as a bad grade or a breakup or just getting rejected a lot or losing a job, to something as earth-shattering as a death in the family, being sexually abused, being physically abused, that kind of stuff. That's what I think trauma is. Okay? Depression is what kind of results as a it's almost like lived inferiority. Lived inferiority, yeah. You know what I mean? Alright, so Robin Williams, he was really entertaining, right? He was a very entertaining person. He was a great performer, an amazing actor. But behind that, there was obviously something wrong with him, and he would make fun of himself for it, which, to a point, that is fine. But it's only cool to make fun of yourself for that kind of stuff if you're addressing it. Okay? And if you're not addressing it, then you really do feel like you don't want to live anymore. Or that you're not living currently. I felt like that for a long time. I felt like, yeah, I'm going to school, I'm going to work, but I feel like I'm dead. Like, I've felt like that before. Sometimes I feel that today. Sometimes I still feel that way. That's hard. So, let me go through my timeline of things that happened to me that I believed were traumatic for me. When I was 8 years old, I just moved from Massachusetts to South Florida, and the class sizes were bigger. The school was a lot bigger. I had that new kid kind of, that was just was stereotypical new kid who didn't know anybody. I'm very glad I didn't go to the school halfway in. That would really suck. Halfway through the school year, but that didn't matter. I still made friends, etc. And my teacher got pregnant, so there was a substitute on hand, and this substitute was really mean. She had the same last name as me, so everyone would make fun of me for that. But she was just like, she did not tolerate misbehavior. Like, it was a zero tolerance kind of deal. And especially if you've had a history of behaving properly. You know what I mean? Which I did. I was always just like really quiet and introverted because I was like, yeah, I don't really want to get shouted at like Tommy over there, so I'm just gonna kind of chill. Let me just chill. I'll do all my misbehaving, later on, whatever. And I accidentally laughed at something, and the teacher got right up in my face, and she's like, "I knew you'd misbehave. I knew you weren't the goodie. I knew you weren't the good kid. I knew you just had to wait." You know what I mean? And she's like, "I'll see you after class." I'm like, "Oh shit. Oh no. What's gonna happen?" So she sees me after class. She open-palmed slaps me. Not really hard. Just like a love tap. Just like, you know what I mean? And she's like, "If you ever misbehave, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, man, teachers aren't supposed to do that to kids. It's not cool. And I didn't want to tell anybody about it because I didn't want to drag anyone down. I didn't want to be like, yeah, my teacher hit me. And I feel like shit because of it. And my parents were going through bullshit, you know what I mean? They always were, like, always kind of, they fought a lot, my parents. I kind of predicted that they were going to divorce, which, it's a prediction that would come true, sadly. It's a good segue. Because when I was 14, right before high school, my parents got divorced. After my mom telling me repeatedly, no, we're never going to divorce. We may fight, but the people who know themselves, who know each other best, always fight. And I'm like, that's bullshit, and you know it. She's like, no, like, I'm serious. We're not going to divorce. You should never think about it that way. And I'm like, you can't lie to me. You can't. So they divorce. And the mindset now that's instilled in my head is, alright, now I don't want to tell anybody about bad things that happen to me because I don't want to feel like a useless victim who needs to be coddled. So now I'm like, man, are women even that great of people? I mean, my mom just, like, ditched me and my dad. Like, left me with, like, $20. And was like, buy yourself a CD or something. And, like, just kind of left. And my dad did not take it well. There was this neighborhood that me and my dad would drive through on the way to my grandparents' place. And my dad would be like, "Oh, if mom didn't divorce us, we would have bought that $200,000 house by now." You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, man, my mom really, like, fucked with my dad's dreams over here. I wonder if all women do that. And then the more my dad complained about my mom, and when you're growing up, especially when you have the kind of ideals that I have, that all or nothing, black or white thinking that I have, Not have anymore, but I had it back then. Uh, the more you start to overgeneralize people, and it wasn't too long before I said to myself, everyone with a vagina acts like my mom did, treats men like my mom treated my dad. Any being with a vagina does that. So therefore, they're bad people. And I used to hate women. I'm not gonna lie. I used to hate women, but paradoxically and almost hypocritically, I would defend them too. You know what I mean? I was like I was what they would call white knight with a black heart. And people saw through that. Um, I mean, I was extremely cynical as well. Uh, and that got a lot of good attention from people, but still, it didn't matter. You know what I mean? And it's funny because there were a subset of girls in high school who like wanted to kind of prove me wrong, I guess. You know what I mean? They're like, you always complain about stuff. You're always cynical about everything. Like, do you have a soft side? Like, I know you gotta have a soft side in there somewhere. And I go, no, I don't actually. Well, of course I did. You know what I mean? It's just hard to see through it. I consider that to be a traumatic event because it shaped. I really did feel like I was inferior in high school. You know, I was an only child with a single father, and whenever I said that to somebody, they'd be like, "Wow, I've never met anyone like you." And instead of embracing that and be like, "I'm one of a kind, baby," you know what I mean? Instead of being like that, I was like, "Yeah, man, you know, I'm the only one with this kind of freaking family structure. It sucks. Like, what am I supposed to do, man?" But of course, if you're confident and you're not depressed, and you don't feel like you're inferior, you can totally turn that around. You go and totally be like, "You're damn right. Only child with single father crew checking in. How many of you can say that? None of you assholes." But I didn't know that at the time, 15 years ago. A year after my parents divorced, you'd have to watch the first 15 years later video to know the details about that. I'm not going to talk about it ad nauseum here, but I will say that I had to deal with it I struggled with that for a long time. After that happened to me, you know, the thought of having sex with somebody really, I wanted it, but I didn't want it at the same time. I wanted it only because society wanted it for me. But if I had my own way, I'd be like, let me just cuddle with this girl instead of have sex with her. You know, maybe she can like jerk me off or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I even I even said that in front of my friends once. I think I was probably drunk when I said it, but I said, yeah, you know, like, I don't understand why you just have to. I don't understand why I have to fuck. I mean, I'm happy with just getting a blowjob or a hand job from these girls. And they're like, "Nah, man, that's because you're still a virgin, dude." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I guess, you know." So then, you know, the whole pressure about losing your virginity and stuff like that was probably amplified because of the fact that I didn't trust girls and women, and the fact that that happened to me. The events of 15 years later, it just compounded to where I was like probably the least sexual being ever. You know what I mean? I was still, you know, I still watched pornography and I still liked that, but I only liked it because it was entertaining. I didn't like it because it was like, wow, you know, like, I could do that. That could be me with a woman someday, and that would be amazing. That's how I feel about it now, but that's not how I felt about it probably from the time where that happened until probably about 5-6 years after that. So there. A couple years after that happened, there was a girl that I liked in high school. I had a crush on her. This is covered more in my obligatory crush video, and I'm gonna make a sequel of that. With my video logs, I like to rehearse. So I'm trying to get that video out, but I'm gonna give more details about it. But this is, I guess, like a teaser trailer to it. There was this girl that I liked, and I didn't want to talk to her because I was like so afraid of rejection back then. That, you know, especially if someone who I really liked and wanted to be a part of. I really wanted to make everything perfect. I wanted to make the interaction perfect, which is not cool at all. But yeah, that's what happened. So I was like, all right, this girl needs to be in one of my classes before I can talk to her. So, and this is a girl who I had a crush on since like freshman year, freshman year of high school, and she's in one of my classes junior year of high school, and I'm like, this is it. The time is now. So, yeah. So she's in one of my classes. I'm like, what do I say? I mean, everyone else has just kind of complained about shit too, but I can't do this with her. In fact, that probably would have been the best thing to do, because she would have been like, let me change your mind, get involved and stuff, because she was like cheerleading captain and like president of student council and stuff. So, you know, if I said to her, I'm like, man, all you people are all the same, and she'd be like, no, we're not, we're really cool, you know, like, but instead it was like, I know, defend her for being so, for being attacked in the school paper, because there was this girl who apparently didn't like her too much, and wrote about her in the school paper. And I was like, yeah, so that girl who wrote about you, she's wrong, even though I didn't know her at all. And she was like, oh, yeah, you know, thanks for supporting me, yeah. And like, you could totally tell, like, actually no, when I approached her the first time, I was asking her if we missed an assignment because I missed a day of school. I'm like, what did we do in class yesterday, because I missed what we did. And she's like, oh, you know, we just did this, blah, blah. And I went, oh, okay, cool. And I was totally nervous. And at the end of it, at the ass end of it all, she framed me for stalking. Because I creeped her out to such a level that I would like, I would know where her last class was, and I would go to it, and then I would walk her to her car, like some creep. And oh my god, man, I was so mad at her for that. And then that only, after that happened, that only cemented further my hatred for girls and women. And like, I would still try to meet them, but now my thing was like, I want to see if one of these specimens of these specimen can prove me wrong. You know what I mean? I want to see. And you know, eventually I would meet a few girls, and some of them would be really cool, and I'd be like, yeah, you know, all right, I see that, you know. But I didn't go, you know, full ham with them like now, where I'm like flirting with them in public and stuff like that. So yeah, that happened to me. And the final thing that happened, let me turn the camera. I just want to see how much time I got left. Thank God I'm going to be leaving this place. Look at this, man. Freaking dumb. Alright, cool. We got a few more minutes. Nice. Alright. The final thing that happened was just probably from age 24 to 28, where it's just a series of deaths in the family, of drama between friends, and etc, etc, etc. Stuff literally beyond my control. That I could not, that other people, I was letting other people's, you know, hardships affect me, and stuff like that. This is where the addictions came in. This is where all the bad horse shit came into play. My dad died when I was 24, right after I turned 24. He had cancer for a year and a half or so. And I felt like I never really made peace with him. To this day. He told me he was proud of me, but my dad was the type of person who he always liked pushing you no matter what. He didn't really believe in support. He wasn't a supportive person. He never claimed to be either. He was always like, I don't like support because it slows people down. You have to always challenge yourself, blah, blah. And I was like, man, I think you need an equal amount of both. In fact, what I really wanted at the time, probably even now, I want some support, man. I'm one of those guys who, you kind of need to coddle me and tell me, it's okay, Joel, you're doing okay. Don't worry, it's all good. You're fine. Instead of like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's how my dad was. My dad was like that. You know what I mean? Like, so when he died, I was like, wow, you know, the person who's just beating my ass and riding me like crazy, and never accepting me for my accomplishments, however they were, whatever they were, now he's not with me anymore. Now he's dead. And I felt empty. I felt empty for a long time. For probably a good 5 years. Up until probably a couple years ago, 2012. And I was depressed. Like I said, I developed a drinking habit. Not as bad as Robin Williams, probably, but who knows. I developed a gambling habit, which resulted in, oh my god, resulted in all kinds of horrible, horrible things. Financially, I'm fucked. Financially, I'm beyond. It's like I'm 6 feet under. I'm 6 miles under. So I'm like Bon Jovi. I'm living on a prayer. So yeah, but the best. I mean, you know. So that I went back to school, but I was too depressed to perform well in any of my classes. So I would just flunk out. And at wit's end, I just woke up one day, late 2011, early 2012, and I said, you know what? I need to take time off from everything. Like, legit time off. Just no addictions, just work on bowling, go to the gym, you know, work on work on your meeting girls skills, or whatever, social skills, whatever, dating skills, etc. You know, go back to basics. And in 2011 alone, I saw probably 6 therapists about this stuff. Because I needed to address what happened to me, right? And so, but after my dad died, the mindset I've been able to overcome everything. You know what I mean? With, now I talk to somebody if something's on my mind. You know, I'm a sexual being. I love the act of having sex, even though I don't do it enough. Because I don't get out there enough with girls, with women. But I can. You know, I just don't want to because I'm a lazy asshole. You know, I don't think women are out to use men anymore. That kind of stuff, and they're not perfect either. Okay, I'm like the Grey Knight. Okay, I know that women could be fucked up individuals, but like, they can also take some fucked up shit from men. You know what I mean? Like, nobody's fucking perfect. That's my opinion on the genders. Well, I'm gonna do an obligatory feminism video and an obligatory men's rights activist video, which is fucking retarded. But yeah, I'll do that later on when I get to the new place. Yeah. So, yeah. And but after my dad died, I really did feel like, why don't I just give up? I'm gonna die anyways. Which is honestly, I've been struggling with that for a long time. I struggle with that now. There's some days where I'm like, man, what does this all fucking matter? I could die tomorrow and none of this would mean anything. So yeah. There you go. My history of fucked up things that have happened to me, and so on and so forth. Stay tuned for the next video coming up right now. Peace.